is up? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Good evening. It's what is it? Saturday night. Saturday Night Fever. Welcome. Gonna start us off just a couple minutes early because I'm gonna let all those notifications click in. I'm gonna have some fun with you guys before we get started. Again, hopefully all of you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving with your families, with your loved ones, friends, and yeah, hopefully you guys are just shopping your balls off. You know, Black Friday yesterday. I mean, I feel like Black Friday is like the whole weekend now. Um, so yeah, what is up? Hello to everybody. How you doing there, handsome? Good to see you. So yeah, again, gonna let all those notifications click in. Love all the mods that are in here. You guys, I need to laugh. I want you guys to laugh with me. It has a lot to do with the Idaho4 case because it talks about. I'm going to show you guys some preliminary hearing transcripts. Just because, like I said, I want to laugh. I want to show you how a detective sergeant answered questions at a preliminary hearing for the Idaho State Police Department. So yeah, this is just getting our feet wet for tonight's episode, which is the title is either the police fucked up really, really bad or Brian Kohberger is framed. And we're going to talk, and I'm going to compare some things to the Alec Murdaugh murder case when they used SLED and they had a guy that did the extraction and did a master timeline to put all of the movements on one master timeline, and how I think that is going to be exactly what Ann Taylor needs to do to truly show this whole unbelievable people getting stabbed to death, witnesses, survivors. Nobody calls 911 for 9 hours. People are walking around. People are texting. No one sees bodies. That's going to be very, very hard for a jury to comprehend. Because we are the jury, guys. We are the jury. And we all can't comprehend that, right? The jury won't be able to comprehend that. Again, especially if, like I said, if they're up walking around, texting. When you take 165 steps, let's say, in a 2-minute period, you're going to say you're pacing in your room for that 165 steps, or were you out actually in the house walking around? But while people are coming in and the notifications are clicking off, I want you guys to see something. Again, hello. Love you all. This is from 2020, and we're going to go right here to the spot I have. We're Detective Sergeant Van Leuven here, okay? Sergeant Van Leuven, ISP, okay? This is direct examination, but really it kind of was cross. Yeah. Here we go. I want you guys to laugh with me. Question. Okay, I think we left off because he was first on and he was actually, the state's witness. And then she was just going to ask him questions that were outside the scope. So she's like, well, then I'll just recall him as my own witness. So that's why this is considered direct examination. Okay, so this is the Jill Bolton here, the attorney. I think we left off on the last time. We already talked about some measuring his waist, some questions, the trajectory that was down, it was upward or downward. It was downward, he said. Downward, okay. And you said that there were some other people that made measurements, but did you ever actually measure the height of Dr. Moore? Dr. Moore is the suspect. Dr. Moore is allegedly being alleged to have murdered Dr. Drake, right? Answer. Well, no. Why would we? So here, there's a gunshot through the window, and she's asking, this is the guy that did, this is his case. So did you ever measure the height of Dr. Moore? No. Did you ever measure the distance between his hip And his foot? No. Did you ever try to do any kind of examination to determine whether holding his hand like this, like Marty Ryan just explained again, and it was shown on the video, was consistent with what you saw in terms of the evidence at the crime scene? Do you want me to give you yes or no answers, or would you like me to explain myself? Well, I'd like you to answer the question. If you can answer it with a yes or a no, then of course, that's what I'm asking for. What I would say is that the bullet hole through the window, could have been made by almost anyone, male or female, of average height. So it just depends where they held the gun. Okay. And for you, Mr. Van Leeuwen, what is average height? Um, I would say not a dwarf. I would say not a dwarf and not an NBA basketball player. Most average people, 5 foot to over 6 feet tall. Excuse me, hold on one second. The average height is 5 feet to over 6 feet tall. What? Okay. Hold on. And you didn't feel that it was significant enough to, evidentiary wise, to find out what the actual measurement was of the person who you are alleging was the shooter? No, ma'am. Okay, guys, think about this. What type of questions were they asking Dylan and Bethany? This is legit in a preliminary hearing with them. This is the detective. This is his case. No, ma'am, not okay. Not at that point. All of us that were there that looked at that and discussed that all came to the same conclusion, which was the hole was consistent with being fired by someone of average height outside the window. What are you talking about? He is saying that him and his little, detectives and his little police entourage, they were just standing around. They were looking at the hole in the window, and they said to themselves, "Yeah, this totally looks like it would be, the average person of 5 feet to a little over 6 feet tall that would have made this gun, that would have shot this gun." You guys, it gets better. So you don't know who that person was from any evidence other than what Dr. Moore said in that interrogation, right? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. If I can answer the question, I would say to you that it would, we're talking about with physical evidence here. I'm sorry. I can't even here. Here we go. I'll be more specific. Did you have any DNA that you found at the crime scene that was other than Dr. Moore's, or they meant Dr. Drake's? No. No. Did you make any comparison to show that Daniel Moore, based on his DNA, was at the crime scene? No. I'm sorry. This is insane. Okay. And did you find any other physical evidence? For example, someone who, or if someone was at the window, maybe like they would shed some skin or hair or anything like that. Did you find in particular items of evidence for which you could test and make a definitive ID of who might have been there? The The primary piece of evidence was the bullet that was fired into the building. I just gotcha. That was fired to the building, not into Drake, though, right? Oh, snappy, snappy. Okay. Oh, 145. Okay. So, okay. Everything else was from outside the building, so we would not anticipate finding any evidence like that. Having said that, I believe it's in Detective Tolson's report. The Detective Tolson or one of the other detectives that were there did dust for fingerprints. Oh, you guys dusted for and what did you find? Ready for this? I don't believe they found any fingerprints. You guys found no prints in the place around the did you find any prints? So somebody wiped down? Like, did you find like I don't believe they found any fingerprints. Oh shit. Okay, so now in the course of your investigation, let's just talk about that night, right? You guys. Anyways, I just wanted to laugh, so I just thought I'd share that with you. Then let's see. Let's see this one. Where was it? No fingerprints, no nothing, no DNA. We don't have anything. We don't have anything. I mean, we didn't even test how tall Mr. Moore was. We don't even know how tall he is. Did you just measure to see how tall the window was? You know, ma'am, I think we gave you those reports. They lasered something up. I just died. I'm sorry. I am so sorry, but yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to laugh with you guys, but that's how a detective answered. These are detectives from ISP that most certainly would be involved in the Brian Kohberger case. And this is how they conduct themselves. You know, they think that the average American is 5 feet to just over 6 feet tall, and that you do not need to know a damn thing about anything to do with trajectory for the way that a bullet would, enter a window or enter someone's body. And then you don't have to compare it to, were you aware that the ME's report said that it was an upward angle and you said that it was a downward? And how did you guys determine that? Well, we just looked. We were just all standing around and we agreed. Okay. Wow. So welcome. That was my filler for us to get started. I just wanted a good laugh, but now I see why they didn't have a preliminary hearing. Just saying, guys. What a disaster. Alrighty. So let's talk about it here. Idaho4 got back-to-back nights for you. How are they going to be able to say that when their witness is going to be taking the stand, their expert, how are they going to say that they identified the suspect vehicle being multiple vehicles? Okay, so you already identified 2 different vehicles, correct? Correct. And then now how do you place the one vehicle at Pullman 2 hours later from when you saw it to being that in Moscow? Like, how are you connecting that? And the answer is they don't have anything. There's nothing connecting it. Now, the other night, because I've been taking it easy, I actually watched they did like another Murdoch murder, like, I don't know if it was like Dateline or I think it was Dateline. And I really wasn't even going to watch it because I thought I was just going to be going over like everything that we saw before. But you guys need to go watch it because it was amazing for me to hear what I wanted to hear, which was everything about the digital evidence, which is, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but those of you guys that watched the Murdaugh murder trial, okay, they went speedy trial, and that was like a plan of theirs to try to, they thought maybe, that the prosecution's not going to be ready, okay? And they talk about that in this episode. Kind of like the same thing that Brian Kohberger was doing, where we're going speedy trial, and then they decided to waive the right to a speedy trial. Now, during this episode, they talk with the forensic expert that the state used to extract the data from Pawpaw's phone, Maggie's phone, Alec's phone, and this guy put it on a master timeline. Guess how long he worked on that timeline to perfect this timeline? I'm going to tell you. 1 year, a whole year to put it together. And the difference in the Brian Kohberger case to the Alec Murdaugh case, okay, is that extraction and doing all the data was significant to help the state to show, okay, this guy worked on this and had to pull everything and put everything together. And it took him, and he, all the way at the end, was able to get, they waited and finally got all the information on the car, Alec Murdaugh's car. And then they took a stab at trying to get into Paul's phone, which I did not know, that they could not get into Paul's phone because they didn't know the password, okay? And they went to a company and said, we can eventually get you into this phone, but it could take up to 7 years for whatever, program they had. Because if you try to get into a phone and you're attempting to put in these passwords and they're wrong, you can eventually get locked out and it could reset the phone and things like that. So they only took a couple attempts and they were able to get into the phone because they guessed correctly on Paul's password, and it was his birthday. Okay. So that big piece of opening up the phone and getting into and having the data that was available for then to this guy to go ahead and do what he did with all, the other data, basically was like what put, I believe, Alec Murdaugh behind bars for the murders, because people got to see the Snapchat video because it had never been opened. So it was still there. Also, then they got into Paul's phone and was able to see when the last call went out and that him and basically his mom's phone stopped at the same time. Okay. Now, this is actually going to work. I'm gonna pull it up here, this episode from the trial, to show you how in depth this was, because you need to have a jury understand some stuff, which in my opinion, the state's going to try to do, but I think it's going to hurt the state. But I think that this can actually help the defense, only because if we truly believe that once you got those phones and you looked at them and you were able to see if Dylan and Bethany are up and awake and walking around, it's curtains. That is going to kill the state. If Bethany and Dylan are texting and up and they are awake from 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, if that's there. I think what's also going to hurt the state, and I've been saying this, is that Kaylee and Maddie's phones stop working at the same exact time, very similar to what happened in the Murdoch murders. And it was like, that's where people were like, okay, Paul and Maggie never used their phones after this time. And that's when they went ahead and, it was like, that's when the murders happened, okay? Which is 252, all right? Which, when you actually look at the PCA, all right, why didn't they go with the times of the victims' phones? Why are they going with the survivors' phones? All right. And you're going to want to, because the state put it in such a small time frame. If this is Brian Kohberger, he had to do it between an 8-minute window because that's all they have. They married to that timeline. And all Ann Taylor has to do is get them off of that timeline just in the slightest. I think Ann Taylor's going to be able to do it leaps and bounds. So my question is, here we go. I look at a case like the Jared Bridegan case. Months and months and months and months and putting it together because it's so, complex, or, hey, it's going to be so circumstantial. Like we got to get this right. Why in the world would Moscow, Idaho be sitting at a round table and say to themselves, well, we've had this name for all this time, which we all know now is way earlier. And he's in Pullman, but we're going to wait. And because you got search warrants signed by a judge to physically search his apartment without the DNA. So you could have done a search to see what would have come back. You could have searched his parents, like the things that you were able to get and search his car. The probable cause was different. You were able to obtain that without any DNA. So everything that you had up to that point, you did not have to go and physically arrest this guy. All right. And what type of a fuck up? Who made the decision to say? Because somebody made this decision. Somebody made the decision to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to arrest him. But we don't have dick done. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and arrest him. We've done, 7 weeks. Like it happened 7 weeks ago. Why in the world? We can sit here and say truly, okay, it was greed. They wanted to have an arrest before the students came back and yada, 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 right? You can say all that you want, all right? But at the end of the day, you also have to make sure that you're going to go and arrest this person and you're going to get made a fool. You guys are going to be made fools out of yourselves. I mean, you can't sit there and say that the national news isn't on you because you know that it is. So who's sitting at this round table and is like, this is the PCA that we're putting together. We're going to go ahead and let's do this arrest versus why aren't we checking our work? Why aren't we checking our work? Why aren't we trying to obtain Brian Kohberger's DNA to test it against what we have? Why aren't we seeing what the returns come back on the search warrants for his apartment and his car come back? Think about that. What would have hurt to say, hey, well, let's just do this. Nobody will know that we did this. Okay. Brian Kohberger ain't going to be running around telling anybody, that type of stuff happens all the time. Okay. You serve search warrants all the time before you arrest people. So why was it that we're going to get all these search warrants and do the arrest all together versus not just go and let's see what comes back a little bit? You know what I mean? Where's your... I'm sorry, but how fucking stupid are you? That's my take. Is, is it because they knew that it's not going to return anything? There's not going to be anything in that car. So what are we going to do then? And there's not going to be anything in that apartment. What are we going to do then? Because there wasn't and there isn't. So, like, Alec Murdaugh was convicted of murder because he was physically there, seen on a Snapchat, heard on a Snapchat 2 minutes before a murder. Okay. The state of Idaho has nothing like that on Brian Kohberger. Nothing like that. Absolutely nothing close to that. Like not even 1/100th of that. So how in the world do y'all think that you're going to convict this man? Are you banking on just that there's just going to be a bunch of fucking idiots on the jury and that's how we're going to do it? Because you're not going to have what Alec Murdaugh, that extraction, and what they were able to put together, because it was all circumstantial, and that's what you have on Brian Kohberger is circumstantial. You need to put together a bomb-ass timeline, but his phone was off, right? So you're going to have this big old gap, or his phone, was it off? Did it die? But then also on this big-ass timeline, you're going to have to include the Bethany's and the Dylans and the other people that were out and about with them and the people that came over afterwards. You're going to have to include Ethan, Xana. So you're, Jack D, Adam, a hoodie guy. Talk about a crazy, massive timeline that's going to have all of this. Okay, and this is like right in my wheelhouse. So I should be probably the one getting a phone call right now saying, hey, we want you to do our timeline that you're going to pull from all these phones. And I was looking at the Murdaugh case. They're just pulling text messages and phone calls. What about Facebook Messenger? What about WhatsApp? What about, Instagram Messenger? You got to extract all of that stuff. This takes so much time, and but both sides have to have it, because if you're going to put up, like, in the trial, in order to say that that's not true, you have to have somebody that can take the stand to show where they messed up. You get what I'm saying? Otherwise, you're rolling with what they're saying unless you can prove that it's not true. You're showing, yep, this is where I pulled it from. This is where I got the data. This is this is that. And the state, you would think, hey, we're going to put that together to be like, that's what they should be doing if you're going to be convicting Brian Kohberger, right? But if they were to do it, I sat down and I thought very, very hard about this. Like, could the state even do that in this case and that actually not blow up in their face? And the answer is no. We have a DoorDash coming and driving through there. You have all these other headlights, if you're using Linda Lane and if it is actual footage, all these unknowns that you're going to put yourself at the Moselle property. There was nobody out there. Okay. It was just him. He's there. He leaves. He comes back. Who else could have done this? Oh, some crazy people that, were after him, blah, blah, blah. We're here. You can't even put Brian Kohberger being seen physically or a license plate, nothing. Can you even put him on that? You cannot even have him on a cell damn tower. But here in that case that I'm about to pull up, and just to show you guys how, and if I'm Ann Taylor, I was just thinking, I'm just like, this is how you would show your client is not there, but all these other people are. And if none of these people saw your client and they're there at the same damn time, how is that possible? These are things that this is reasonable doubt. And then you just have to ask yourself, how are you going to be able to sell it that a sheath could possibly be planted? Well, if that is not on a body cam, I think that's easy to sell. Why wouldn't that be on a body cam? But this is such a circumstantial case. The PCA is all circumstantial. Okay, so same thing against Alec Murdaugh, all circumstantial. They don't have a murder weapon. They didn't have a murder weapon there. They didn't have the two guns. They still don't have them. in this case. Now, let me ask you something. Why haven't we heard of anybody going out and searching at 4:48 when his phone comes back on in that area? And if nothing came back and nothing went into that apartment, you got to think on that little loop-de-loop that you think he made. Okay, even though one of your detectives is saying that no, he went straight home. There's been no, let's go out there and search. Let's go out and find this freaking knife. Let's go out and find these clothes. Let's go out and find some physical evidence on this man because you don't have any. And you got two witnesses, Bethany and Dylan, that are just going to be straight up annihilated on the stand. And I'm being just truthful. Okay. They're young. All right. And if any part of what they're saying, and I don't believe that they lied, because after I saw the work that these detectives do, no, they just took what they said and went with it how they wanted to go with it, just so they didn't Delphi. So it's going to be nice to actually be able to hear what Dylan truly wants to say. And it's going to be nice to be able to hear what Bethany truly wants to say. Okay. They probably looked at that PCA and was like, or they're looking at their reports in this discovery and they're like, what the hell? That's not, how are you getting that from everything that we said? Or I wasn't even asked that, or, seeing how these people question people and, when they were truly questioned the first time or anything like that. But what do you have? What do you have against Brian Kohberger? And what you have is you have the state fighting tooth and nail not to turn over stuff. I can't see that in any other case. I'm hardcore working on the Shannon Garner case right now. And guess what? Jose Baez, they just found a big bombshell in grand jury testimony. Guess what the state said? Yep, you can have it. Here, what do you need? Yep, don't even put a motion in. I mean, you can, but we're going to go ahead and just give it to you because we agree you should have it. Not, oh my God, no, you shouldn't have that. Like, Idaho, get a fucking clue, get a grip. The hell's wrong with you? But do you know how much work it is needed to do what I'm suggesting that they do, to extract all those cell phones and put them all on a timeline? Give me a second. You're just being extra lazy, aren't you? Making me run all over. Are you being a little lazy boy, I think? Kids got me going searching for chargers. Momming always comes first. Cheers, Aquafina. Back at it. Yes, son. All right, I'm going to pull something up for you guys. Oh, thanks. Yes. Momming all the time. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm actually talking about the guy that did the extraction. So, that's not the guy that I'm talking about. Let's see here. They can't even organize tips. I know, right? Let me show you guys something. If you guys didn't see, where is it? I was able to get, just so you guys can see, this is like a murder for hire case. I was able to get the discovery that the state turned over. And, you know, Jose Baez is on the case. Yes, son. What's up, buddy?
I need a blanket.
Here you go. Take a look at this. They put it in order of every witness statement and interviews, and gave it to the defense like this. It was down here. Then it had, you know, every interview, the date. Okay. Then they did attachment to the reports. This is just how organized the state of Florida was with this case to provide. That's all the physical evidence. Where's the search warrants? Let's go back to the search warrants. Here you go. Discovery attachment incorporated was all of these are the subpoenas. And then it went from being all the subpoenas. And it has all in order, the dates of those subpoenas. And then it went to, again, subpoenas. And then it was the search warrants. In order. No games. There's no games being played here. Okay. Jose Baez is the defense attorney. He puts in his request for, you know, state's discovery. Get me the state's discovery. You know what I mean? Like, where's the discovery? What do they have? They were asking for, you know, boom. Jose Baez puts it in. Notice of appearance. Demand for discovery. Puts in what he wants. Goes as far as to say, we want the wiretappings. We want everything. Does exactly what Ann Taylor does the first go around. And boom, what is he given? He asked for this on November 3rd. He's given this on November 15th. Okay. He got it exactly how he should, in an attachment with a couple different hard drives with everything in order, labeled, very, very organized. This was a murder that happened in February of 2022. And then, you know, here they're turning over, they went ahead and arrested one of the people in January, then the other person in February of 2023. And then Shanna Gardner got arrested in October of 2023. And there ain't no games here. Okay. This is an investigation. This is not some chess match where you're going to hide your hand or anything like that. Okay. It's just these are people's lives. People were murdered and somebody is going to be on trial for murder. Okay. This isn't a game. And then when you want to talk about, right, no comparison. Right here. We'll talk about grand jury. This is how it's handled. Check this out. So Jose Baez puts in because, and I figured out who the person was that they're basically going after here. The state has disclosed certain statements alleged to have been made by the defendant. In a consultation with the assistant state attorney regarding the origin of certain statements alleged to have been made by the defendant, it was determined that a witness, KJ, reported statements made by the defendant during an unrecorded interview at the state attorney's office and later before the grand jury on February 16, 2023. The disclosure of KJ grand jury testimony is appropriate pursuant to section, look what the state says. Counsel has consulted with the state of Florida, and the state has no objection to this motion being granted. This is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, if it's Idaho, we've already seen what happens here. Okay? Again, I'm comparing the case here, state of Florida, Shanna Lee Gardner. It's going on right now. It's going to be the new hit case. And I put it out yesterday. I put out all the discovery. I went through everything. Go check it out. Murder for hire. So those of you guys that follow the dentist in Florida with the FSU law professor, this is the same type of case, except you got Jose Baez on the defense. And I think he's got a little bit of leg room because of a couple different laws, but there's no linking Shanna Gardner to Henry Tenon. And that's going to be what they're going to have to prove. But besides, anyways, what I want to compare is how the state, you always should want to get the right person, okay? You should always want to seek justice. Like, that's your job. And if somebody lied or somebody said something that wasn't true, and here, yeah, you can have why would I fight that? Idaho's been fighting everything. Ask yourself why. Okay? Idaho's not turning over fucking everything or anything, nothing. Everything's been a fight. Why? Okay. And here was a guy that did not want to waive his right to a speedy trial. And these, I mean, November 3rd, November 15th, boom. Now take Brian Kohberger's case. The discovery was asked for in January. She's on her 10th and 11th request for discovery. Okay? And you know what it is? It is fucking about to be December of 2023. It is about to be a year and you don't have all the discovery. How do you not have this, but yet you're going to arrest somebody and you say you have this big old crump ass case and he's the man and he did all this crazy ass shit and he's a psycho and he's this, he's that, he stalked these people, whatever. And yet you don't have any, like, they have to basically beg you, but then motion compel. And then they have to basically at the hands of the mercy of the judge to say, yeah, you can, I think you should be entitled to get the IGG stuff, the tips. And think about that, man. That's your life on the line. I can't have the evidence of how you got to me and why you think it's me. And here, yeah, have whatever. Cause you did it. You're the guilty party. We're going to get you. Like, it doesn't, like, what do you cannot not give the defense their shit. Like, what are we missing here? You know, how people don't have a problem with this truly is beyond me. But Florida, kudos to you guys. I saw one hell of a battle with the Adelsons in the courtroom. They worked their asses off. 9 years. 9 years. Idaho thinks they're going to be able to go and do this in 7 weeks. You're about to get your asses fucking handed to you. Handed to you unless Ann Taylor doesn't do her job. But Ann Taylor needs to go out and she needs to get somebody extracting the shit out of all of those cellular devices, out of all of those apps, and putting it on a huge timeline. And when you see that on a timeline, you'd lose it. You'd absolutely physically lose it, because good luck with your circumstantial case once you do that. It's blown. It is completely blown. Look at you, Kay Miller in the house, 20 memberships. Whoever snagged one up, welcome to the Truth and Transparency membership family. Home team. And I just keep going back, and I'm just like, what was the rush to do this arrest? And really, was it truly because we wanted to do it before students went back to school? Because I went back and thought about it all. These kids on the campus don't give a fuck about that. They were not going to school because of that. Okay. No. We got kids pissing on the house. They don't give a shit. This title, though, lit as a tit. I know, Stevie. You guys, you just can't. I'm just looking at case after case after case, and here we are. It's been a year. Okay. It's been over a year since the murders. It's going to be coming up on a year of the arrest. And this man and the victims, dude, they deserve justice. Okay. Well, how do you get true justice? Truth, transparency. That's how you get justice. I'll tell you what, if I was murdered, I'll tell you, if you guys go out and get the wrong person and I was murdered, I'd rather have my shit not solved. Like, what? It's just woo. First time Florida ever got kudos. You know what? Maybe the bar is just not that high for them to beat out Idaho. So there is that too, I guess. You like that unit? Really enjoy your tireless and amazing coverage. I got asked, UDPMT, you think that we're seeing massive coverage? I don't understand that ending, but thank you for the compliment. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. Shanna Gardner's innocent until proven guilty. Henry Teenan, admitted to shooting and killing Jared Bridegan. Well, he's getting a pretty fucking sweet deal for his for him admitting that. He's gonna be looking at 15 years, probably serving 8. They said it's 15 to life. I don't think he's gonna see a day over 15. And he was looking at a handful of years anyways. But interesting. But when there's incentives, people will just say and do things but he has to testify truthfully. Otherwise, if he doesn't, then off the table. But going back to this case, you have Dylan and you have Bethany, and they're going to be asked, were you drinking and were you smoking weed or were you doing whatever? And the answer is going to be yes. You guys, they were drinking. Okay. When you hear that they were drinking, I mean, so were you drunk? Yes. So you think that she saw, how are you going to say anything about what she saw? Did you see a knife? No. Did you call the police right after you saw this person? No, because it was just another night, wasn't it? People come and go all the time. People are in masks all the time. Look at this picture. Where's this from? Look at this picture. You don't think they're going to show all those pictures and say, when was this? When was that? Are you guys trying to scare each other? Would you guys do this? Were people in the backyard sitting in the, up in the trees? Would you guys always mess with each other? But the moment that they talk about, yes, we were drinking. Yes, I was drunk. Okay. Who do you think is going to prep those people? People can't be prepping those people. They're going to be asked those questions. When did you meet with the prosecution? They tell you what to say. They work with you. I'm sorry, but I'm not lying for anybody. I'm not lying for fuck out of my face. Critical thinking. We've had a baby. What is up? Thank you, Michelle. Gifting. You guys are just giving it all away tonight. Look at that. 3 months. We are on our way to having a baby. Yep. Same here, man. Thank you guys. That's what I always say when you're getting close to 9 months. We could have had a baby together. Look at all that. People going green. Woohoo, a baby. Start thinking about baby names. Gonna name our kid Justice. You guys, there's no murder weapon. Did they ever search for a murder weapon? How could you say that you have all of this guy's path and that he would have had to what? Stop off and what? Rip off his clothes, that he didn't get any blood though in the car, throw out this knife. I mean, no, he wrapped it in. He was just Dextered out. You guys, you have all this time. Where's this murder weapon? Did you ever go looking for it? You had 120 officers on this case. Did you get out there and do, were you searching for that murder weapon anywhere? I would think that if you had any type of GPS and if he ever went back to, go recover it someday, a week later or 2 weeks later, they had that name, Brian Kohberger, hella stat fast, thanks to Bill Thompson just giving it away. If I'm the defense, I put Bill Thompson on the stand. 100. I make him answer some questions. I show that damn footage and I say, okay, you said that you're going to send your kid here because you knew more than other people. What did you know at this time, Bill Thompson? And I want him to answer that question. I think he'd shit his pants. YouTube does randomly pick the members. Yes, they do. I think if you're in chat a lot and you chat a lot, you get what is it called? I think you get it helps your odds at snagging up a membership, if I'm not mistaken. So if you lurk around a lot, you have a chance. That's the best when we see people get a membership and they're the biggest troll out there, and we're just like, hey, you watch me all the time, motherfucker. No way Brian Kohberger killed 4 students, and what single person would dare come in house late at night with cars all over? Numerous students reside. Yeah. Do you think this is drug related? I think after I pulled the Brent Kapaka body cam footage and know that a sniper did not take him out and that's all questionable, I think that if I was Ann Taylor, I'd get to the bottom of some more of that stuff. And I would see if there's any connection with anything that happened with any of those people over there. I don't believe in coincidences, and that's just very, very awkward. Everything about that. I mean, somebody killed 4 people, right? So if Brian Kohberger didn't do it, who did it? I want to see, where is it? I suppose Dylan and Bethany, intent matters. What's up, Carmela? I love that name. You know it. Thank you there for that super chat. I suppose Dylan and Bethany's intent matters. Yeah, I just think that they were drinking. I think that I can't imagine they're gonna just get crushed, guys, because they didn't just not call 911 once. They didn't call 911 twice. Okay. This digital evidence is going to blow everything out of the water. Everything. And they messed up a little bit, when they went ahead and said, we're going to go with Dylan and Bethany's phones, probably proving, that they were there. Well, I just proved a couple weeks ago that there's stairs that are right outside that house. And if somebody's going up and down stairs and at different times, and could they have left? Well, there's stairs that are literally right outside that house that go up towards the Queen Road apartments. So we did a test to see how many steps you would have to take to get to that point. So I would love to get my hands on that data. I'd have that data like fucking, I'd have one badass Excel spreadsheet with all that shit. I can tell you that. Oh, don't they? They are the best. They are the best. And in fact, I'm going to do them a favor here and just slow down chat just a tad. I usually try not to do that, but if you have a Membership, though, you always get to bypass the slow mode. That's one of the reasons you should be a member. You get to bypass that. Well, to answer your question, I think it's numerous students at Grub Chuck that night. I looked at video, as did you and many others. You can see them conspiring, giving signals to each other. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing connecting the WSU vehicle to Moscow's vehicle. There's nothing to make that vehicle. And that's, they're not going to, you can't get past that, guys. You can't get past it. Like, there is, if you're going to literally sit on the jury and someone's going to show you a car 20 miles away, okay, and you know that there's all these cameras that exist, there's allegedly all these people, there's all these ring cameras, and we can't find anything to show that Brian Kohberger's vehicle was on that campus. I'm sorry, but you can't just drop a car down and be like, that's Brian Kohberger's car. You can't just pick a car out in the middle of the 700 block of Indian Hills and say, that's Brian Kohberger's car. Who the fuck do you think you are to say that? You just, how are you saying that? You can say it if, like, oh, look at that PA license plate right there. Oh, look at his license plate. Oh, wait, there, you know what? You see him walking out and going grabbing, like, I don't know, a damn slushie at 7-Eleven. You just can't, you know, like, what? But that's what they did. They made a car. There's all these cars. There's all these white cars, you know, and then poof, oh, wait, there's one. You just, Indian Hills. Yeah, that's a nice area over there in Cincy. I used to work over there. Yeah, you guys, what they're pulling there from is, just so we're clear, that is literally the street over from the police department, and that's the way that the hybrids would barrel on out of there and go up that way past the groves and go around. When I found that all out and I did a breakdown of where that hybrid was all night, I believe that you're possibly could be picking out your own freaking hybrid vehicle. It's insane. You just can't, you know, so if I'm in that room with a bunch of other jurors, I'm like, all right, so what do we got here? We have a sheath with touch DNA that they got to, weird ass fucking way. This guy has no connection here to them. Why did they put it? You say that you wanted to get in this car. You're a bunch of idiots. Go get the car. You said you want to talk to the people that were in that vehicle. Did they attempt to talk to Brian Kohberger? That's going to matter to me if they try to talk to Brian Kohberger or not. If I'm on the jury. And I think that Ann Taylor needs to point that out. You said you wanted to talk to this person or these people. Why did you think there was multiple people? Were you just saying that just to, like, you know, throw them off? Okay. All right. Well, you say you wanted to talk to this person. You wanted to try to get in that car so they couldn't destroy any evidence. Why didn't you get in that car sooner? You know, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Why wouldn't he just turn it over to you? After talking to these experts, especially Scott Roeder, Lana, there would have been signs of a cleanup. You know how hard it is to get rid of blood? And I'm going to go with Scott. Like, they tore apart that car, nothing. They tore apart that apartment, nothing. Nothing. And then here at the murder scene, they're just taking items out of there. I cannot believe that they were really able to take items out of there. You never know what you could find on something. Like, did you truly go through all that stuff to see if there's any book that maybe had Brian Kohberger's name on it, or a notebook that had the number? I mean, I know everybody uses their phones for a lot of things, and those cell phones got to be treasure troves, as Jennifer Coffenhofer said about the car. But I believe that the phones are the treasures. And if Kaylee and Maddie's phones are dead stopped at 2:52 and they are never used again, as a jury member, I believe that there's going to be people that believe that they didn't use their phones anymore and they stopped at the same time because they were attacked then. And so if they were attacked at 2:52 or right then thereafter, Brian Kohberger couldn't have done it. Brian Kohberger, based on their case, he was just leaving WSU's campus, and there's no way in hell he could have gotten there in that time to kill them. And that's where I would be going with it. I'd be pushing this up, not down. Okay? I'd be pushing it up. It is physically impossible that you don't even have his vehicle on that campus until 3:26 over there in Indian Hill on that street. So in the Murdaugh murders, that's what when you heard those jurors talk, that's what they said sold them, was that Paul and Maggie never used their phones again after that point. Boom, 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 boom. So Kaylee and Maddie were using their phones, and boom, they both stop at the same time, and they're both murdered at the same time. Come on. You're going to sit here and tell me that no juror is going to believe that they were possibly killed at that time? I'm going to tell you that if I was on the jury, I'd believe that. You'd have to sell me on the fact that they weren't. That's what I believe. You're going to have to sell me on the fact that Maddie and Kaylee were alive past 2:52 a.m. Because especially if the text messages don't say, okay, I'm exhausted, I'm going to bed. Now, if text messages start saying like that, but it seems like she's shotgunning. So there's a bunch of these calls. What do the calls say? What do the voicemails say? And then what do the text messages say? And then we all know that, what do you think, she just fell asleep? Like, then you start watching something, or you're like, on TikTok, or we all do this. We all maybe play a game. Like recently, I've been playing some stupid ass Tetris game. Fucker thing keeps me up all night. I'm like, oh my God, get this off my phone now. I looked at my clock the other night. I was like, oh my God, it's 4 a.m. And I was playing that damn Tetris game. And I was like, oh my God, delete this. Or you're just, watching something as you're going to bed. You're checking, that's what we're always doing. We click on one of our apps. Okay, here's my Insta, here's my Twitter, here's this, here's that. So, and I haven't played a game on my phone in like years. And I blame it because I was sick. I was just like, oh, let me work on my brain. So I did the block blast. Anyways, but I'm on the jury. I'm over here. I'm like, and then who's gonna keep circling a house? Like, that's ISP's thing, that somebody just keeps circling, and then they just get out of a vehicle, then they run in, kill somebody, run out. And you can't sit here and say, oh, I would love to know why they think he didn't park the first time. Why circle? You think somebody was there, so somebody was there at 3:29? Who was there at 3? That's what I want them to say. Well, why didn't he get out and do it then? 3:29. Oh, somebody was there. Because it's like, oh, wait, well, who was there? Who was there at 3:29? Because that's news to us, right? Why would he have to loop 3-4 times and then decide, okay, now is the time? But when they have to answer these questions, well, did you see him get out of the vehicle? No. Do you see Brian Kohberger on any of these cameras? No. So at every dead end, when you got this like tip, you ran it, his name, or you ran the South Tower, his number wasn't on there. You went to this, you went to this, you went to this, you went to this. It was all dead ends. And yet, think about this. I proved it when I showed you guys back maybe it was like a month ago. And I'm like, they didn't even investigate anybody else. They literally were on Brian Kohberger, like I'm telling you, within days. Within days. Literally. Within days. So you have unknown male DNA in the house. It doesn't matter to you. And you're over here wondering how somebody could have possibly killed all these people. And you never think to yourself that there could be more than one person involved. And that maybe that DNA is meaningful. It doesn't make any sense to me. You just want to eliminate it so that when you go to trial, that wouldn't be a hiccup for you, because it's going to be a hiccup. How could unknown male DNA not be a problem as your reasonable doubt? So you don't think maybe the unknown male DNA took the sheath because they were there with Brian? Brian left, and then they went ahead and did what they did, and now we're going to frame Brian. And I'm not saying that law enforcement would have to be the framees, okay? It's 9 hours. That house was up. Anybody could just come in and do whatever, you know? I can't wait to, I know it sounds morbid maybe, but I can't wait to see the crime scene photos, because I will be in that, you know. They're probably not going to show it on the TV screen, but I will be in there, and I want to see if and in fact there was any type of blood trails where if you went to the bathroom, could you see blood? You know, could it be that Dylan went to the bathroom, walked from her room to the bathroom, and then walked back? Also, who stabbed somebody and then closes doors? So after Brian Kohberger stabbed, Ethan and Xana, and they were in that room, he then closed that door, but then somebody crawled to the point that they tried to get out, because then they were blocking that door because they couldn't get into that room. It means that they were alive. Yeah, I'll understand that, right? That means that what Dylan would have heard is one of them alive. We got some more gifts. There we go. As an investigation. Oh, there you go. Member for 5 months. We're on our way to a baby as well. Thank you. Did you do another? Did K-Miller drop another 20? Is that what you guys were saying? Did she do it? Oh, look at that. Look at, you guys are just in the giving mood tonight. God. I bet you your spouses, they're feeling pretty lucky. Like all this giving. But yeah, so the more that I've been thinking about it, you know, I think Dylan and Bethany, you know, they're gonna do way more for meow. They're gonna do way more for the defense, and I don't think that they're going into this case like I don't think they're going into this case that they're on the side of law enforcement. I just think they're going. I just think that these people don't communicate. These Idahoians, law enforcement folks, they're not too good about communication, relationships, and they made no effort with Bethany and Dylan. That's what I think. As I could see how they treated the families. And Steve can say whatever he wants. Is he on good terms with law enforcement? I don't buy that for a second. I would just, you know, keep him close to. I mean, what are you gonna do? Piss off law enforcement? But they're just not going to be able to answer questions the way that law enforcement would answer questions to make sure that the narrative stays intact, because they don't even know the fucking narrative. You know, do you think that they're reading the stuff the way that we're reading it? No. They want nothing to do with this. They don't. This is like the worst thing that will probably ever happen to them in their lives, and they're not reliving it every day by reading the stuff and reading documents. And yeah, no. I think they're all very smart too. You know, they're very book smart, I guess you could say. I don't know if I would give them common sense smart, because I think common sense would have somebody, if you open up a door, think about that 3 times. What are the odds? Brian goes up the stairs, and on his way up, doesn't run into her. On his way down, doesn't run into her. But she's opening up that door 3 different times and manages not to run into him either until the end. Okay? But Xana, because think about this. If you went upstairs and they were killed first, you're going downstairs and then you're leaving. There is no reason to kill Ethan and Xana if they're in that bedroom. You'd have to do what? You'd have to be leaving and you'd have to like run into them. And then depending on, but wouldn't that person scream or, you know what I'm like? And if Brian walked and went over to Ethan and Xana's room, or, you know, whether Xana's room where Ethan was, you know, always staying, that makes no sense then why Dylan would be left alone. You understand that? That's just not. But talk about some odds, man. Talk about some odds that she would be opening that door. And I'm sorry, but nobody opens up the door and just like peeks out, or like, you guys have to see how skinny that is, how tight that is. If she opens up the door, you're going to see, I have no idea who did it. Nobody knows who did it. That's not the point. Sorry, that's just it. If I had the discovery, I could probably tell you who did it, though. I'll give you that, Gail. If I had the discovery, I could probably tell you who did it. I think law enforcement knows who did it. I do. So none of these cameras get to see Brian Kohberger. He kills 4 people. Dylan's just opening up her door, waiting to get killed. Doesn't get killed. But then happens to see him enough to like give a description of him. Well, guess what? The way that the ISP people think people are, their height-wise, you know, everybody is average if you're 5 feet to just a little over 6 feet. That's average. And think about this. Bushy eyebrows. Bushy eyebrows. The fuck? Like, that wouldn't even come out of Dylan's mouth. Okay? Probably how that came out was that they asked her, did he have, like, what type of eyes? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Yeah, Dylan is tall. So, you know, was he like your height? Is he, you know, I just can't wait to hear her say how she opened up the door. And if I'm going to get out of my bed to open up the door, I'm getting out of my bed in my bedroom and I'm going and I'm seeing what the hell. All you have to do is make 3 stops so you would just see what's going on in that room, like the living room. So nobody would just open up the door and just stop and like plan it right when you opened up your door. Because you would ask her, is that what you normally done in the past? Did you ever have to do that? Did you ever, like, why didn't you walk out of your room? Did you truly open up your door 3 times? You know? No, that's not what I said that I did. And where her bedroom is, that window, you didn't see anybody walk across there. You didn't see him leave when he walked out of there. You didn't see him walk across your window because that's where he would be leaving. I mean, then you exposed the lies when you found the actual location of Dylan's room. Yep, I did, didn't I? I got a lot of shit for that. And I was like, just wait. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. Yeah, so I was like, I need to do an Idaho4 weekend. So this is my kickoff into, you know, tonight's. I'm going to drop the link for tomorrow. And, you know, I came up with some tough questions that I think, the things that I would ask, like, you know, law enforcement, but I want to know who made some of these calls. I think this trial could last like literally weeks. Like, You know what's crazy is that just because you offered up your DNA and it didn't match the sheath's DNA, okay? How could you really truly say, I know if I was an investigator, I would never, ever say I'm clearing them in a 4-person murder, that I would still have no idea if multiple people were involved in this murder. Get what I'm saying? So, and if I didn't even test the 2 unknowns. So like, I don't even know if they match those, because did I even like run the 2 unknown, DNA? Do I even have a profile on those 2, unknowns? But just because it doesn't match the sheath, how can you still even just be like, I'm going to clear them at that point, when I would not be certain to say, like, why wouldn't this be, multiple people? And I think the only thing that you could say is that if the weapon was the same and if the blood transfer was there. So if I kill victim 1, there's blood from victim 1, then I go to stab victim 2, and the blood from victim 1 is then mixed with victim 2. Now I have victim 1 and victim 2's blood on my knife, okay? Then I go to kill victim 3, and now victim 3 has blood 1, 2 in their own. And then I go and kill victim 4, and victim 4 has 1, 2, and 3 on them. That, to me, that type of transfer would tell me that it was the same weapon. And more than likely, one person used that weapon. Makes sense? But if one of the victims, if they were like the 3rd or 4th victim and they did not have any other blood on them, then like that's just common sense would tell me, like, I want to take a look at why they wouldn't, and then obviously if the wounds were different, which that's what Mr. Gonsalves said right off the rip. But it'll be interesting to hear more about that from an ME's standpoint. But I think that if victim 1, then the blood, you get to the 4th victim and that person has a mixture, I would think that the same weapon, and then therefore, but if you look at the movie Scream, I mean, so multiple people couldn't be stabbing, but it just, to me, it would be way too early on for an investigator. Like you don't have any of that lab work back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not clearing anybody. Especially when you would see that fucking video and you'd be like, why are you putting your hood up? Why are you trying not to be seen? What's going on? I don't care if he did it or not. Everything about the way that he was acting he didn't order anything. Okay. So, and then they didn't leave with him. So why didn't they leave with him if he was supposed to be their ride? Or, would you say, oh, I'll walk you down there because I'm going to eat something, but then you don't eat anything, you would think that you'd grill the shit out of that kid until you get, but maybe he wasn't able to be grilled because his family lawyered him up. Who knows? Maddie wasn't on her phone at all that night from all the body cam, well, not body cam, but from all the, footage that we have of her walking down and then her at the grub truck. And then all of a sudden she's utilizing her phone to call Jack D, or was it Kaylee using, her phone? I would love to see, let's dust for some prints on Maddie's phone. Is Kaylee's fingerprints all over it because Kaylee was actually the one using it? I don't know. But you put that extraction together, it's going to take some time. The state gets crushed. The state gets absolutely crushed. Their circumstantial case goes out the window. They have all these other people that could be there. We didn't even talk about the Banfield people, and we didn't even talk about the police. The police were there, guys. Fucking police were there. Okay. Do you understand that right before Banfield happened is that 252 time frame that I'm talking about? That's when the police were there. Their vehicle's there. And the two undercovers are there. That's who's there when the phone stopped working for Maddie and Kaylee. And then at 3:01, okay, is when they are on body cam and that they are across the way. Now, clearly we don't see them with any blood on them, do we? I don't see them with any blood on them. So to me, it'd be highly unlikely that they were using knives, okay, and stabbing people. But the police, the undercovers, they were parked right there at 252. That's where they were. They were at that, right there at that area. When Maddie and Kaylee never made another phone call. So, and for all we know right now, the only calls that we've been told about have been the ones to Jack D. There could be other calls and there could be other text messages, you know. That extraction's everything. Timeline's everything. The state wants to roll with 8 minutes that it took Brian Kohberger to do all this, and yet there's no planning. There's no evidence of planning this. There's no digital evidence of it. Everything that they were hoping to find, that they thought they were going to find, wasn't there. Somebody knew that it wouldn't be there because I don't think that he is the person. I think there'd be all this crap, you know, and it doesn't help when mainstream media wants to throw in these lies about Brian Kohberger having a 2013 white Honda Elantra to match. Like, what the fuck, Court TV, get off of that shit. And then saying that he's been seen, or his Elantra was seen on camera. That is just another complete lie. Brian Kohberger's vehicle was not seen on any camera. You understand that, right? A car consistent with his white vehicle. Well, that's a lot of cars. And then saying that he had gloves on when we arrested him and he was sorting out his trash. Well, we already did a whole big trash episode, and guess what? In that area, you have to sort out your trash, number one. But number two, if he was doing that and going and putting them in other people's garbage cans, then why didn't you get their garbage cans and then send them on their way to Idaho to have those tested? You fucking dipshits. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this bullshit. I'm just going to keep blowing it up. And Marty Ryan found out that he was in Afghanistan at the same time that these people from Moscow, people like Brent, people that were serving over in Afghanistan. Marty Ryan is the assistant police chief in Bonners Ferry. Bonners Ferry has the meat locker. Just saying. A lot of drugs run up and through there to Canada. Just saying. So you really want to talk about how all these people could know each other. I think there's something possibly with the military connect. So on how people could cross paths. And Brent was in the military. Brent Kopacka. And for whatever reason, I believe that Brent Kopacka was murdered. And the body cam kind of proves that. Definitely wasn't hit by a sniper rifle. Somebody shot him inside that apartment. That's the same gunshot. So I put out the body cam. Go check it out for yourselves. I can't wait to see the body cam. And if any one of these first responders' body cams is not working, and Taylor better eat them for lunch. So, but yeah. So, but I see all these other cases, and I see that police are doing work that takes time to put together, and that their investigations then lead somewhere in the courtroom. And here we see in Idaho that they threw together this 7-week, just mess. And it looks nothing like the other cases that you see. And Idaho's fighting everything, the turnover of the defense. That's not what I see in other cases, especially high profile cases. Yeah, you're going to have your suppression issues and stuff like that, but we're talking about discovery. We're talking about grand jury. We're talking about it's supposed to be a preliminary hearing. All of a sudden, we're going to pull a secret grand jury. Yeah, can you do those things? Sure, but why? Well, I wouldn't want any of those ISP detectives talking anyways. That's probably why. Probably some of them weren't even qualified to do the hearsay part. Who knows? But so tomorrow night, bring your questions. Let me know what you think. I'm going to show some comparisons with where I think they're going to struggle, and I'm going to use a couple different clips from cases that have happened recently and that jury members have really said that that's what pulled them. And I think that that's, at the end of the day, can you believe it, guys? But like, we can say whatever you want, think whatever you want, but those 12 jurors are the ones that decide your fate, your life is in 12 people. Like, I mean, I would put all my stock in, hey, we need to nail who's on this jury because they're the ones that are going to decide my fate. So, yeah. I know people were talking about Dylan and going out and partying. Hell yeah. Live it up, Dylan. She should. You know what I'm saying? What do you want the girl to do? Live in a box, stare at the wall? Absolutely not. Dylan, live your best life. Your roommates would want that for you. Just tell the truth on the stand. That's all I care about. Fucking do whatever the fuck you want. Drugs, sit and spin on a bunch of dicks. I don't give a shit. Tell the truth on the stand. Deb's always been throwing this in there. Hey, can we talk about the cartel? We sure can. We sure can. I'll bring it up tomorrow night. I would love to call in and chat with Lana. Yes, I'm going to do that tomorrow. So I'm going to have a little bit longer of a live tomorrow and hit the link and come on up here. Use your 2 minutes and go ham. Bring the good questions. Like, what would you as a juror, like, I could tell you what would be game changers for me. You put Brian Kohberger inside that house. You put Brian Kohberger's car having blood in it. You put DNA. You put Brian Kohberger walking up to that door. Give me Brian Kohberger in some connection to one of those, roommates. There's only 3 months that he was in the area. So only have it's not that much time to go through and to figure out, you know what I'm saying? He said that he was in the area 12 times. You guys, he hit on a tower that is so fucking not consistent. So I'm just so sick and tired. Unless you're going to tell me that he got on their Wi-Fi and he was in their house and knew their password, I'm going to laugh when you tell me that he was in the fucking area. Because you have the cops saying that those kids from both campuses go to both campuses. That's normal. It's wild, man. It's just so wild to hear that. No, he wasn't in the area. A tower can cover fucking the whole damn campus could hit on one tower. One was big. It's just wild. And if you're going to tell me and you can prove that the past weeks and nights during the week he goes on these drives and he's driving around and they have cell records and to show that he's driving around, you guys are aware that Idaho gets no service. You guys are aware that, actually, Miss Vargas is going out there here soon. And I was like, listen, we're going to do a little testy test with your little celly cell, And I said, fuck it. I just might go out there. We'll get Idaho all up in arms. But she said there's no cell service out there. Depending on who you have as a provider, you guys, the cell service is so spotty. So if you're driving off in those areas where there's nothing around, it is what it is. But if they can bring it and prove it that dude is driving around. I'll tell you, the Carfax shows it. The Carfax shows that this mofo is just putting on the miles. He's putting on the miles. The Carfax proves it. So you're not putting on miles unless you're driving. Okay, this is not Ferris Bueller where your car's up on. You guys remember Ferris Bueller? Where they put the car up and they try to take off the miles and they're running it and they're like, yeah, it's not coming off, man. So you're putting on these miles because you're driving, okay? Then when I found out how easy it is to clone some phones, and I'm like, dude, I do not want to hear this. Like, this is so crazy. This is so like, I don't want to hear that. They talk about it in the Murdoch case too, but he's always keeping up with getting his oil changed. He's on it. Like, he's just anal, you know? So I just think that somebody that's that anal is, you know, they're set in their ways. And you could see when he was getting pulled over, his car's like spotless. Okay. Do you think a guy like that is going to want to be all bloody and get in his own car? Let me tell you something. I don't know if I ever told you guys a story, but me and my cousin my freshman year of college. He's like, you're going to go to the Fish concert with me. And I said, absolutely not. Like, I have no desire to do that. I did it for him. I was basically the driver. These assholes were doing mudslides. It was raining. They're taking off their clothes. They're so completely muddy. They're just sliding down these hills over where we were at Riverbend in Cincinnati. And then they think that they're going to just get in my vehicle. And I'm like, absolutely not. You guys can take all your clothes off and then you can get in my car. And they did. But I was not letting them in my car. They were caked with mud. Okay. But I told them, I was like, no, take off all your clothes and let the water and the rain wash off some of that mud, man. But I was like adamant. I was like, no, I will call you a taxi before I let you in my vehicle. Because I knew like my car would be completely trashed for probably ever. And they did it. They stripped down, but they were doing mudslides. But my cousin accidentally wiped up on it was a Camry, and I'd opened up the door, and he actually hit, you know, the speaker. It's on like the door panel side. And I get the next morning, I'm in my car, and I noticed that, like, I was like, oh my God, my speaker has like this mud caking. And I was like, I took a toothpick and I was trying to like pick out I was like, oh, hell no. The rest of the life that I had that vehicle, I was looking at that speaker in the passenger side, and I was just like, fuck you, car, man, ruined my car. But so somebody that would care so much about their car and they're just anal in their ways, you think that he is going to get in his car all bloody and just, I'm sorry, but there's certain things about people that I think that Brian would have to strip down completely naked before he got in that car. And maybe that's why there's no blood in there. But I think that he would like, he'd be the type that if he did it, he would use a rental, in my opinion, because he wouldn't want to mess with his car. Yeah, you can never unsee it, Lana. You're damn right. I could never unsee that speaker again. I was like, oh, I'd see it every day. And I'm like, oh, there's a piece of mud there. Oh, I was like, oh, God. And then I was like, I just have to sell it and get a Jeep. So anyways, yep, I'm like, strip or you're not coming in this car. Assholes. I'm like, I didn't know one song. My mom was like, you're going to the Fish concert? Do you even know any of those songs? I said, I don't know. I think I know one song, like something about gin and juice, Mom. Let's see which one I knew. I only did it to be such a great cousin. Did not know a damn song. One song I knew. Let's see which one it was. It was, fuck. Isn't it? Who is Fish? Yeah, I'm about to play one of their songs for you. It was like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys are Fish fish fanatics out there. Oh God. Fun concert for sure. I don't know. I just people watch like a mother. Just think if this case happened, let's see what you got there. If this happened 5-10 years ago, no one questioned shit. Thanks for what you do, Lana. Yeah. I mean, maybe they didn't think that people would question it once that they arrested somebody that would just kind of like, but I just think that YouTube's blown up too much, because we're questioning mainstream media. Mainstream media just used to pump whatever narrative that they would want, and you just kind of like, there was no way to combat it. Now that with YouTube, there's a platform to go toe to toe against, hey, I could be out here, come watch this, and I'm going to use my projector here and put up all this crap. Here's all this FOIA stuff. And you're just like, wow, holy shit. Here's these body cams. Holy shit. So I just don't think that you had, as much as I hate social media, this type of, do you even consider YouTube social media? But I don't know. But this is what makes, you see Court TV going and streaming live on YouTube now, doing premieres, going live and showing, you have Nancy Grace, she's on YouTube, so it's interesting. But I think when you can bring receipts to the table, as long as the judge is on the up and up and it makes the state turn over everything. And if, like I said, if Brian's the one, fry his ass, whatever the fucking parents want. I don't need to go kill nobody, have it on my conscience. He can spend the rest of his life in prison, but whatever it is but you have to prove that stuff. You got to do it the right way. And I just don't see that in this case. And like I said, I'm going to give kudos where kudos are due. In Florida, I think that prosecutor worked her ass off on that, Dan Markell case. And because of what she did, I think that they're going to go down like dominoes. So Steve won't settle for a patsy, Well, I think that Steve thinks Brian did it. I think that he thinks that they have all this other evidence, or, I don't think I'd be wearing shirts that say that you're ready to kill somebody, without seeing the evidence. I know I just wouldn't, but to each their own. We still got to talk about the LinkedIn. Don't you think that Ann Taylor should go ham on the LinkedIn? Who deleted Kaylee's LinkedIn? Maybe for all we know, Kaylee deleted her own LinkedIn. We don't know. But over and out on this one. I will see you guys back here tomorrow. Join me 9:00 tomorrow night. The link will be ready and busting right away. Bring yourself, bring your asses, get sassy with it. Let's have some fucking fun tomorrow night. All right, guys. Best to you. Over and out. Thank you to all the members, mods, and all you super chatters. And those of you guys that were giving up the memberships for other people, kudos to you guys. It is the giving season. So again, I'm going to go on to bed. Love all the gifts, and go cuddle your loved ones. You guys are so giving. Make sure you guys go give back to those loved ones. All right, guys. Love you, mods. Keeping it real. Until tomorrow night. Bye. Never saw the northern lights. Yeah, let's do it.